You're listening to the Ricky Long Podcast.
I can actually see you right now. And now I feel smug. I'm inside your head. I can see you. Stop smiling. I said this line to Lindsay. Every night is a Saturday night and every morning is a Friday morning. That's how an entrepreneur sees the world. This podcast is a solo Q&A. So Instagram stories, I do Q&A every single day, and these are a selection of questions. I've got 10 questions down here. You can see in the show notes which questions might appeal to you. I'll put a timestamp on each question because in Instagram stories you're kind of limited to, the original 15 seconds. And what I find, if I go over a minute for answering a question, I get a massive drop off of people. So I've taken the majority of the questions which I want to chat about, and I've just put them in this podcast. I'll probably spend 2-3 minutes on some questions. I'll maybe spend a bit longer on others.
You're listening to the Ricky Long Podcast, where international fitness entrepreneur Ricky Long answers your questions and interviews fitness leaders on training, nutrition, and mindset. Ricky is a fitness industry expert, having been helping people achieve their fitness goals since 2002. We talk everything fitness, business, and group exercise to help you on your fitness journey.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Ricky Long Podcast. Introducing your host and owner of the Ricky Long Podcast, it's Ricky Long. Yay! Thank you very much for that introduction. I spent absolutely hundreds on thousands on getting myself a personal assistant to introduce me to this podcast. He probably won't get any more work after that. Literally a one-time gig. What episode are you on? 59? 59, 60? Shooter. You know what? It doesn't matter. This is the Ricky Long Podcast. I'm here chatting. You are there listening. You could be driving right now. You could be training. You could be taking the dog out for a walk. Listen, you could be listening to me whilst you're doing your important work in the office and paying no attention to that, because this podcast will actually put a smile on your face, whereas your work is just a little bit blah. This podcast, I've got to let you in the secret, this podcast is a long time coming, and it's been eaten me for a long time now. So, and when I say a long time, I'm talking like 5 days. It is now Monday the 14th. I wrote this podcast, literally, I wrote this about 5 or 6 days ago, and I just haven't been able to find time, energy, prioritize. Basically, I've put a lot of barriers between the writing of this podcast and the recording of this podcast. And I can only blame myself for that. I tried to blame other people. Didn't work out that well for me. You know what Lindsay said to me last night? I always have a whinge about how it always rains in Scotland. Like, always rain in Scotland. Every time it's raining in Scotland, I check the weather to see what it's doing in Belfast. And I would say a good, realistically, 7-8 times out of 10, it's not raining in Belfast and it is raining in Scotland. And I always blame Lindsay. And she turned around to me, and in all seriousness, last night, she said, "Why are you blaming me?" And my response was, well, who else do you expect me to blame? Which I think is a completely validated argument. So if you can think of somebody else I can blame to why it always rains in Scotland, I am interested to hear your suggestions. Until then, I am actually just going to blame Lindsay. Right, so this episode, you may have already read the show notes. Lindsay's just come in and give me the look of, I'm in trouble. Again, we can only link back. If the weather wasn't so crap, I wouldn't blame Lindsay, which meant I wouldn't have mentioned it in the podcast, which would mean I'm now not in trouble. Clearly, this is all Lindsay's fault. That's the only logical explanation I can come to. Right, you might have already read the show notes. As always, we are sponsored by Pony for Sport, Northern Ireland's Sports Retailer of the Year 2018. But more importantly, Pony for Sport are sponsoring Ricky Long for doing the Lanzarote Ironman 140.6 next year. So on May 23rd next year, I'm going to be doing the full Ironman. For those who don't know, it is a 4 kilometer swim, which is 2.5 miles. It is a 180 kilometer cycle, which is 112 miles. And it is a 42 kilometer run, which is 26 miles, aka a marathon. So I'm going to be doing that in May next year. You're going to see a whole lot of my social media posts kind of centered around this. Another good friend of mine, Katie Patterson, once said, "How do you tell if someone is a triathlete?" And the answer is because they'll tell you. So now I open all conversations with the sentence, "Hi, I'm a triathlete. My name's Ricky Long." Not "I'm Ricky Long, I'm a triathlete." You will know this. And come May 24th next year, the day after the Ironman, I'm just going to introduce myself as Ironman. I think that makes perfectly sense. And a massive, massive thank you for Putting for Sport for all your support so far. So they had me in their shop last week, and in their shop in Belfast, it's not just your typical retail shop. Is they, when it comes to the running trainer, they do a full gait analysis with you, and the amount of trainers we had laid out in the bench in front of me to find the right fit. And they're really, really good and understanding and really, really patient, because I don't know any science at all, probably in general, but especially about running trainers. So I was really, really appreciative of the service that I got. And I know that's not specific to me. I know they do that for everyone. And it was a funny conversation I had with one of their customers. He was clearly, he came in, and you know when you can just tell someone's like an outdoors person. He was obviously a very, very fit individual. Have him down, I'll probably get in trouble for saying this, I've him down for in and around 45, mid 40s. And he had on the back of his top, he had a North Face kind of gilet on, and he took the North Face gilet off, and he had a swimming club, kind of outdoor club top on. So he was clearly very, very into his sports and all that, and there was a little bit of chit chat going between me, him, Tanya and Lisa. Tanya and Lisa are the staff in Podium who are obviously helping me out. A little bit of chat, and the girl said, "Oh, Ricky's doing an Ironman," and he understood what an Ironman was, and he wasn't shocked, which tells me he's clearly into his endurance sports. He asked a couple of good, very, very calm questions. "Oh, very, very good, mate. What's your run time like for a marathon?" And I said, "Don't know. I'll find out next month when I do the Motherwell." And he was like, "Oh, right, okay." Very, very straight face. "What's your cycling like?" And I was like, "Don't know. I don't own a bike." And he was like, I could see the concern on his face and the confusion. He goes, "Well, can you swim?" And I said, "Yes, I'm a really, really good swimmer." And everybody laughed about this. And then I went on to say, my reason for doing the Ironman is internally, I want to leave a landmark in my life to push my body, push my mind further than I ever thought possible. 2 months ago, I'd never even thought about doing an Ironman, literally. 2 months ago, I don't even think I'd done the sprint triathlon. So internally, I know this is going to be a huge challenge, and I'm going to really try to enjoy every step of it in the journey. I'm going to document in social. And from an external point of view, I want to demonstrate to you, the listener of this podcast, and every single person who consumes my content on social media, that if you train for general fitness, which I do, which you probably do as well, so that could be you go to CrossFit classes, you go to Les Mills classes, you do some gym work, you maybe run once or twice a week and lift some weight. So it's just that general fitness. I'm training to be fit, keep the weight off, and just enjoy myself, that social interaction. I think that is a fantastic start point. And if you train for general fitness and just add a little bit of specificity, so i.e. start training for a sport, you can do anything that you decide you want to do. Now I'm going into this Ironman I don't own a bike. I can ride a bike. I just don't own one. I can run. I'm just not very good at running, and I'm obviously very, very competent in the swim. So I'm very, very realistic about where my start point is, and I know other people who go to start doing triathletes to start doing triathlons are the complete opposite. So they start maybe a competent runner, decent cyclist, don't know how to swim, or really, really competent cyclist, can't get round the, a run track, can't swim. So I actually have the hardest skill nailed in myself and my general fitness, my general kind of me, what makes me me, and I'm just going to add that general specificity, that specific specificity of training to everything else I do. And I want that to be the message out there. I'm not going to win the Ironman. I'm not looking to set any sort of records. At this point, I have no idea what sort of time I'll be doing. It could be anywhere from 12 hours to 18 hours. I would probably say it'll be closer to 18 hours. So that's a message. If you're listening to this and you train in the gym, sorry, I just took a mouthful of tea, you could probably do a marathon. You might need to walk, but you could do it. You could probably do a 5K run. Might not be the fastest, but you could do it. You could probably swim 40 lengths in the pool. It might take you, 3 minutes per length, but you could do it. And it's that message. It's general fitness is all you need as a start point. And if you've got that, it's looking at what you can do to leave that little legacy, that landmark in your life. So a massive thank you for Putting for Sport, for supporting me in this, sorting me out with loads of stuff, loads of kit. I did my first bike fitting last week, which was hilarious. You know when, like, I don't know anything about cars, but when you go and get your car fixed and mechanics tell you all the things that's wrong with your car and they use all this terminology and you just kind of nod and smile. That's how I felt when the bike guy was sorting me out with my bike. He was talking all this bike language and I haven't the foggiest what he was going on, but he was nice, he was polite, I was polite, I was giving him my full attention, but I just said, mate, give me a bike that I can ride. I'm happy. I'll trust your judgment. Don't give me the terminology. I'll just trust your judgment. And the second thing I want to open the podcast with is I'm going to be moving part of my business focus. I'm developing something that I've wanted to do for a long time now. I've just never had the correct opportunity, the correct time. Now is that correct time. I am partnering up with Only Just Lucy of Only Just Media, and we're going to be running a series of events. I will be heading up the fitness side of events. Now, these events are both for fitness professionals and fitness enthusiasts, i.e. people who don't work in the fitness industry. Now, to explain what this looks like does become quite complicated because, like I said, there's going to be a series of events and we've only started literally today, on Monday the 14th, to release details of the first event, which is going to be November 27th. And it's all about educating, learning, connecting and creating opportunity within your workplace to A, earn more income, B, increase your personal brand, and C, increase your position and authority on your industry. So at the end of November, we will be running this event. It's quite a small, intimate event. We're only going to have 30, 40, 50 people in there. I know that sounds like a lot of people. But it's going to be a really, really intimate event and it's designed to improve your fitness business. To find out more details about this, you just need to be on my daily emails. So if you're listening to this podcast, you should be on my daily emails already. If you're not, where the have you been? I'm going to put the link on my daily emails in the show notes. Really lost track of my words. Right. Like I said, right at the start, before I went off on a tangent trying to sell you stuff, this podcast is a solo Q&A. So Instagram stories, I do Q&A every single day, and these are a selection of questions. I've got 10 questions down here. You can see in the show notes which questions might appeal to you. I'll put a timestamp on each question because in Instagram stories, you're kind of limited to, the original 15 seconds. And what I find, if I go over a minute for answering a question, I get a massive drop-off of people. So I've taken the majority of the questions which I want to chat about, and I've just put them in this podcast. I'll probably spend 2-3 minutes on some questions. I'll maybe spend a bit longer on others. So we're not 14 minutes of the podcast. Half of my cup of tea is now gone, and I am now ready to start content of this podcast. So here goes. Question 1. Why do fitness companies insist on their fitness instructors and group fitness instructors being a member of REPS? So REPS stands for Register of Exercise Professionals. 15 years ago, REPS were the self-positioned governing body in the UK. And they had partnered with all the big wigs at the time, the Fitness First, the Virgins, the David Lloyds, DW Sports, all the rest of them. And there was a good relationship between the clubs and the governing body. I believe because it worked for the clubs had good benefits with REPS. And part of that agreement was all the staff would be a member of REPS at the same time. And in order to stay a member of REPS, you have to pay your yearly license fee, which, to be fair, isn't that much money. And you also got insurance for a little bit extra. So if people listening to this, you can correct me if I'm wrong, it's about £100 a year, which includes your insurance, the 1 or a higher tier of 2 million public liability insurance. So you can even go for 5 million. That can include PT, group fitness, sports massage, sport-specific coaching. So yeah, about 15 years ago, it was kind of a requirement for most clubs that their staff were a member of REPS, and REPS made sure, well, REPS sold it that they would make sure everybody stays up to date. In order to stay up to date, you have to do 2 or 3 days of further education, fitness education, every single calendar year in order to stay a member. Now, what has happened in the last 15 years in the fitness industry foregoes, and it's probably bigger than what's happened in the 50 years previous to that. So there's been bigger evolutions, innovations, challenges, disruptors coming into the fitness industry in the last 15 years. And part of the disruption has been some of those clubs which I mentioned, your Fitness First, your DWs, your Virgins, or which probably between them had in around 500 clubs. They don't exist anymore. And so REPS don't have the same volume of instructors coming in. And the second side of that is there are other companies like REPS, Chimspa, or One UK Active, or One Sport England. There are a few others which do similar, it's not like for like, but do similar things to what REPS promised. And basically, some companies still insist on REPS for what I call the dinosaur policy. Basically, that rule, which was invented about 15 years ago, has never been updated. It is not benefiting anyone at all, for the instructor must be a member of REPS. However, if you are the instructor listening to this and you work for a company, I'll just take David Lloyd's in Nuffield because I know David Lloyd's in Nuffield have this policy. If you want to teach classes in that David Lloyd's, you need to be a member of REPS. So your hands are tied. Is it a stupid rule? In my opinion, yes. Do David Lloyd's get any benefit from REPS? I don't think so. Do REPS get any benefit from David Lloyd's? Well, yes, they get a couple of extra people every year becoming a member of REPS who otherwise wouldn't ordinarily do it. So kind of if you're a group fitness instructor hating paying your REPS every year, you're not alone. There's many of us out there, but all we can do at the moment is suck it up. And every conversation I have with the higher management team, I won't call them senior leadership team of these big companies, I always challenge them. What do REPS do for your business? What is the benefits of this? And if they can give me a good answer, that's fine. But having been in the fitness industry for over 20 years, I have never seen, as the instructor, with the exception of having insurance through this company, REPS, there are many other companies that can give you insurance. So I have not seen any other benefits other than a decent rate of insurance. Cool. Question number 2. So somebody asked a question, something to the effect of, how can I get over the fear of running my first half marathon? So I answered this in a couple of different ways as I drink another cup of tea. So The first way is quite logical. So if you look at a half marathon, that's 21 kilometers, it's 13 miles. It's a long distance for people to run. No matter what your start point is, 13 miles running is a long distance. And that can be quite daunting, and you can get what's called paralysis by analysis, where you make that mountain too big to climb. So it starts one step at a time. Maybe you've just got to get out and run 1 kilometer, and then 2 kilometers, and then next week you run 3 kilometers. So depending where your start point is dictates what that progression plan would look like, and also depends when the marathon is. So if that half marathon is 10 weeks away, and right now you can run the kilometer, well, you're probably in a very, very good place, because every week you could just add on an extra kilometer. So by week 9, you're running 9 kilometers. Then on week 10, which is when the half marathon is, you could pull it out of the bag and hit your 13 miles, which is your 20 kilometers. You could make those steps a little bit higher if you wanted. So I'm going to run 1 kilometer, 3 kilometers, 5 kilometers, 7 kilometers, 11. You can do it whatever you want. The point is you would break it into those tiny chunks. So that is the best way to do it. So, running any long distance event can either be a horrendous experience or a really, really enjoyable experience. It depends on the motivation, and it depends on the time you have to train. No goal is unachievable. Just the length of time you give it, that is what can make it unachievable. And the second one is, if you want to make a half marathon seem less fearful, book a full marathon about 2 months after the half marathon. I know it sounds weird, but if you have a 13-mile run on the 1st of November that you're really, really freaking out about, book a 26-mile run on the 1st of December. Because I guarantee you that run in November will not frighten you anymore. And when you complete that half marathon on the 1st of November, the 26-mile marathon on the 1st of December will seem so much more achievable based on where your new normal is, where your new start point is. Question 3 of the podcast: are weights or body weight exercises best for upper body strength in females? So I was asked this question on my Instagram story: are weights or body weight exercises best for upper body strength in females? And to quote something, again, I've literally just said, it does depend on your start point. It depends what you normally do. So i.e., if you're used to doing a lot of body weight exercises, so say you're a female and you're doing a lot of group exercise classes where like yoga, like Pilates, like body balance, body attack, body combat, any circuits class that has you doing a lot of body weight exercises, well, you're probably going to be quite strong in the body weight department anyway. So you would be maybe advised to go onto the gym floor and do 80% weights exercises and 20% body weight exercises, just to kind of supplement what you're doing. Now, if you are a female and you're in the gym and you're already lifting free weights in whatever capacity, maybe you're doing body part splits, maybe doing CrossFit training, powerlifting, strength training, whatever it might be, but you can't do a pull-up, or you can't do, string a lot of dips together, or muscle ups, whatever it might be, then you would be advised to go the opposite way. So 80% body weight exercises, 20% weights exercises. I think I said that right. 80% body weight, 20% weights exercises. And then it is just applying that basic law of progression. So let's just take pull-ups, for example. If you can do 3 pull-ups this week, well, next week you want to do 4 pull-ups. The week after you want to do 5 pull-ups. And let's say you get to week 6 and you can't do 6 pull-ups. Well, then maybe do 2 sets of 5 pull-ups. Or do 5 pull-ups, rest a minute, do 5 pull-ups, rest a minute, do 5 pull-ups. Then in week 6, do the 3 sets of 5 again, but only take 40 seconds rest. So you're getting that little bit of progression. You can apply that to the free weights exercise, the body weight exercises. I will at this point just pause and ask you to ask yourself, do you have a good balance of weights and body weight exercises? Is there an obvious weakness on one side to the other? When I say one side to the other, I'm talking about weights and body weight exercises, not left or right. And then I'll add, body weight exercises will help you address muscular imbalances. Now, I am talking about left and right. So if you're doing a bench press with a barbell across and you notice you can push harder with your right hand compared to your left, well, if you spend a lot of time doing bodyweight push-ups and bodyweight dips, your body will learn to counterbalance that just naturally. If you struggle with an overhead barbell press, an overhead jerk, even a clean, and then you start doing bear crawls and handstand push-ups or even handstand holds against the wall, you will improve a lot of said muscular imbalances from left to right. So there definitely should be a place for both. You could have Mondays could be your weights day, Wednesday could be your body weights day. You could split it up exactly like that. A good guy to follow on social media is an old friend, Stephen Bell of Wildfoot. His methodology on training is all body weight and basic primal movements. It's absolutely fantastic to watch. I remember having a conversation with him once on how his upper body routine, he had a straight arm day and a bent arm day. So in the straight arm day, he'd be doing, hanging from the rings and doing lower body kind of leg raises and inverted spins, my brilliant gymnastics language. And on the bent arm day, he'd be doing more traditional stuff like dips and pull-ups. So loads of stuff on Stephen Bell. I'll put him in the show notes. Well, I must get him on the podcast at some point. Cool. Question number 4. Nearly finished a cup of tea. Macro counting. Is macro counted overrated? Whew. Now, yes and no. So for those who are listening, you'll probably understand what macros are. Macros are your proteins, carbs, and fats. Proteins have 4 calories, fats have 9 calories, and carbs have 4 calories. So if you're going to eat 50 grams worth of protein, say in a chicken breast, 50 multiplied by 4 is 200 grams of calories, just to set that up right at the start. So is macro counting overrated? Depends on the goal, right? If you are Ricky Long, average guy, trying to just do general fitness training, do I need to count macros? Do I need to weigh my food? No. But it is important I have a rough idea of how many proteins, carbs, and fats are in the food I eat. So any new foods that come into my diet on a regular basis, I'll scan them through MyFitnessPal just so as I have an idea. Now, if I'm just trying a food for the first time and I think I'll probably not put that into my diet from now on, it won't go near it. I don't need the nose. But you could do that just from that self-awareness point of view. If you have a lot of weight to lose, you don't need to worry about your macros at the beginning. Just worry about your calories. So find out what your total daily energy expenditure is, work on your general activity, your exercise activity, and keeping your food consumption in a calorie balance that supports muscle growth and fat loss. Anywhere around that 20% zone, which I've spoken about loads on the podcast. And my hack for everyone on macro counting is if you focus on your calories, which you've just said, and then focus on your proteins, and you want to go about 1.5, 2 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight. So if you're 90 kilogram man, you multiply that by 2, that's 180 grams worth of protein every day. That's kind of what I aim for. That's why I know that figure off the top of my head. So my hack is stay within your calories and hit your protein targets every single day, and then do what you like with fats and carbs. And what you'll notice is there'll be some days where you work better on fats, some days you work better on carbs. If I'm going to do high intensity exercise, I like to have fats in my system and some fast release sugars, fast release carbs. So that might look like avocados, nuts, and seeds. And then before the workout, I would have something, a caffeine stimulant, like a can of Monster, and maybe some jelly sweets, something like that. However, if I'm doing something which isn't high intensity, like a long swim, I don't want the sugar and the caffeine. I want the healthy balance of fats and a healthy balance of carbs. If I'm going to lift weights in the gym, I don't want the fats, I want high carbs, and I want caffeine. And they will keep me stimulated to lift heavy in the gym. So you'll start to find those patterns in yourself. Everyone is individual on that. It's trial and error. The weather can influence. Your sleep pattern can influence. Females, your menstrual cycle can influence. So there's so many variables in that. The point is, get your calories sorted, get your protein sorted, and then keep a mental record, maybe even a journal of how that workout felt, and then write down your previous 2 meals, and then you can start to reverse engineer. But body pump felt good tonight. For lunch I had this, for breakfast I had this. And then you could maybe try that a couple more times and say, okay, that works for that type of workout. But when I do that for my body attack workout, it doesn't work. I would prefer to have this, this, and this. I'd actually be very, very interested in anyone listening to find out if you've noticed anything along the lines of what I've just said. So if body pump, if you prefer to have like carbs beforehand, so say, a sandwich, toast, and then if you do attack, do you prefer to have something else, maybe something high in fats, or high in sugar? Yeah, I enjoyed that question. Right, so the next question is, I'll say what the question is. Will you be on a Les Mills filming? So the reason why I'm putting this in here, and I just want to frame this right, is recently I've picked up at least 100, maybe 200 new followers on Instagram. So a lot of people are kind of new to me. Hi, if you're listening. And they're all from Les Mills land. And I think it's really, really important that I frame this right. So the question is, will I be on a Les Mills filming? No. Being on a Les Mills filming is an absolutely fantastic prestige place for the presenter, the trainer to be asked to do that. It is a place of education rather than a place of, like rock star, because you would actually get to stand there and have influence on how that release, that workout is delivered across the globe. Because you're literally, I'll stand up as a Les Mills trainer for UK, and I will chat to, per quarter, I may chat to 100 instructors, and I will give my take on whatever the body pump CX or grit release is to about 100 instructors. Whereas if you're doing it on one of the masterclass filmings, you're literally going to touch, hundreds of thousands of people. So you're in that kind of, you just have that higher reach, that greater reach. But I always do encourage, any new trainers and new presenters coming on to not just the Les Mills UK team, but any Les Mills team or any new instructors coming into it, and you watch the master classes and you see the lights and you see the workouts and you think that is, where you want to go. I always challenge people in this. By the way, that goal is absolutely fine. If it is your goal to be on a Les Mills filming, you keep that in your goal and reverse engineer how you go about doing it. But I always say to people is, what is that going to achieve? Where is that going to get you? And what difference is that going to make in your life? And if you can answer those questions and you still want to go and do it, then go and do it. Go and find somebody who's been on filming and get mentored by that person. For me personally, it's not part of my journey. It's not where I want to go. It's not a path I am currently exploring. Honestly, like, you guys won't tell anyone, listen to this. Honestly, I have looked at that path before and I have seen the work that goes into it, and I haven't wanted to make those steps at the time. I don't really have an urge in what I'm doing in life, personally and professionally right now, to reopen those conversations. Right now, I am very, very happy in my own personal business and my business that I do with Les Mills UK in doing that, because I get to have massive influence on a small pool of people rather than have little influence on a lot of people. Love this question is, what was the moment you realized you were successful? So I was asked this by a young personal trainer, I would say young in terms of age and experience kind of in the industry. And actually screenshot this and I put it in a couple of different places because I think it's important people understand that success is really, really subjective to every individual person. So one person's success might not mean anything to another. So we've just spoke about Les Mills filming. If you base your successful career as a Les Mills instructor as making it to filming, and you make it to film, you might consider yourself successful. And if you don't make it to filming, you might consider yourself unsuccessful. So success is really, really relative. Like I said in the last one, it's really, really good to have those goals. So being successful is what you believe success is. You know, my definition of success could be very, very different than another person's. I'm really fortunate to be surrounded by people in my life who have helped me in my way to my goals. And the reality is, with any goal, whether it's to get to a certain percentage of body fat, whether it's to get to a certain amount of personal training clients, whether it's to earn a certain amount of money, a certain amount of followers on Instagram, the reality is once you get to one goal, if you're truly dedicated to what you're doing, those goals will then shift. So you'll want to, do 2 fitness physique shows. You'll want to have 2 Les Mills programs. You'll want to have, instead of 10 clients, you want to have 20 clients. Instead of 10,000 followers, you want to have 20,000 followers. So you'll always set those new goals. If I'm being honest, my success is falling in love with what I'm doing. Oh, do you know what? I said this to Lindsay last night. We were sitting down watching TV, and I was having a beer. Lindsay was having a gin, and I made some sort of comment like, "This is our Saturday night." To give you context, it's Monday when I'm recording this. It was actually Sunday night. I said this line to Lindsay: "Every night is a Saturday night, and every morning is a Friday morning." That's how an entrepreneur sees the world, because the whole workforce, no matter what you do for a living, you probably look forward to Friday morning because it's the last working day of the week, and you probably look forward to Saturday night because, well, it's Saturday night, enough said. And if you can think that every day feels like your Friday morning and every night feels like your Saturday night, you're not worried about going to bed, you're not worried about what you're waking up to the next day. For me, that is success for me. I enjoy what I'm doing. I have influence on people. I can help people. I don't have a 7-figure business. I don't holiday more than twice a year. I don't spend money thoughtlessly, but I do have enough time, money, resource to do many of the things that matter once, and that includes spending time with Lindsay, being able to go and see friends whenever I want, see my mum whenever I want. That is success to me. So we'll throw this back at you. If you're trying to measure what success is in your life, you need to be very, very clear about what that is and then work about how to go and get it. Question 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm struggling to make it as a... Sorry. Read your words, Ricky Long. I'm struggling to make PT viable as a business. Time versus money exchange, as there is no money. So I think the original question, let me just word this right so as you understand the word that I am trying to say from my faith. I'm struggling to make PT viable as a business. And then I've added in there time versus money, because then they said, as there is no money in it. I'm struggling to make PT viable as a business as there is no money in it. So, again, this is the time v money exchange, and we're taught as kids to go to school, get educated, and then go get a 40-hour week job. For that 40-hour a week job, you will earn X amount of money, and that is the old school way of doing it. That is the pre-1950s way of earning a living. What you can do now is we can trade time for money. We can make time more valuable than money. We can make money more valuable than time. So what I did when I got this question, I'll see if I can put this screenshot somewhere where you can see it. I made possible PT lines of revenue based on a 40-hour work week. The reason why I picked 40 hours is, as I've just said, everybody kind of is conditioned from a young age that you're going to work 40 hours a week. And I think most people, if you ask them, would they be happy with a 40-hour week if they got paid correctly for it, they would say they would expect to have to work 40 hours a week. So let me imagine what does this look like? Imagine an umbrella, right? With 5 lines. Sorry, 5. Don't imagine an umbrella. Imagine a fork with 5 prongs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And on the left prong, we have live PT sessions. Another prong, we have standard gym classes. Another prong, we have group fitness classes like boot camps. Another prong, we have online clients, online PT. And the 5th prong, the final prong, we have affiliates and ebooks. So these 5 prongs are your lines of revenue. So let's say the first prong, live PT sessions. Let's say you wanted to do 15 sessions at £40 a session. That would take you 15 hours a week, and you would earn 15 times 40. Should have done maths. I will just keep chatting like this. You will earn £600 for your 15 hours per week. Then you're going to do 5 standard gym classes. They could be Les Mills, they could be Insanity, they could be in Zumba, they could be group cycle classes, they could be whatever. You'll probably get in and around 20, 25, 30 pounds for these classes. Let's say you're getting 20 pounds per class. 5 of those classes a week, you're going to get £100. By the way, teaching classes in the gym that you PT is one of the best marketing things you can do, as said on the podcast before, because that will give you so much position, authority, and trust within your gym. And you'll get paid for it. So there's another £100, with £600 for the live PT, with £100 for the group fitness classes. You got to be quick to keep up. Let's now look at our group camps that you can do. So you would run one camp every quarter. So you can have a boot camp, a summer camp, like a Christmas camp, a January shred camp. You can call them whatever you want. A good rule is run the camp for 8 weeks, and then on the other 4 weeks of the quarter, you want to start populating the next camp. And you can always offer people who did the previous camp new camp. That's an excellent business model to do. And even in those 4 weeks downtime, you could maybe serve these people in live PT or group PT and increase. So let's just look at the camp, for example. To run a boot camp, you would just need a bit of space. If the weather's good where you are, you could do this outside and not have to pay for the hire of a facility. Or you could go to your local gym, your local town hall, find a little bit of space and hire that facility. Let's say for those 8 weeks, you're going to charge your customers, it's £100 for 8 sessions, plus a Facebook group where you will do a Facebook Live once per week. So you're going to work 2 hours a week. So you're going to deliver the session and you're going to do a Facebook Live once per week. So it's 2 hours a week. That is 8 hours of work times 2, because it's going to be an 8-week course. So you're going to do 16 hours of work. The customer is going to pay £100. Now, how many people can you fit into the space? If you can fit 10 people into the space, that's £1,000. If you can fit 20 people in the room, £2,000. If you can fit 50 people in the room, that could be 5k. For £100, they are getting 8 group sessions, 8 Facebook Lives, plus other generic content you can put into that Facebook group which serves them. So if you've done the maths at the start there, let's say we're going to get 50 people in there, paying £100 each. That's 5k per quarter. Let me just get my calculator out. £5,000 divided by the quarter, which is 12. So that is £416 per week. So £416 per week average on the boot camp. £100 per week on group fitness classes, £600 per week on live one-to-one personal training. The fourth line of revenue will have online PT. So online PT is one of the great evolutions and the great disruptors of the fitness industry right now, because right now, I don't care where you are in the world, what gym you're a member of, and what the rules of that gym are, I could book you on the Jump 4.2 right now and I can train you, which means you are not paying that gym PT revenue, you're not paying the PTs that money, you are paying me. So my message to you, listen to this, if you're a personal trainer, listen to this, you could train people in the gym that I train in. All you got to do is reach them. If you're teaching group fitness classes and you're teaching, say you're teaching 10 classes a week, 20 people in each class, that's 200 people in front of you, you could train 10% of them online. That is a fantastic way to serve people, to get results, to do what you love, which is, prescribing fitness plans and nutrition plans. By the way, the only difference between live PT and online PT is how you deliver the program. So if it's live PT, you're beside them in the gym and you're saying, hi Ricky, there's your training plan. Hi Ricky, there's your nutrition plan. How have you got on over the last week? If you're doing it online, you'll email them, you'll WhatsApp them. There's your training plan, there's your nutrition plan, text, voice messages, how'd your workout go last week? That is the only difference. And because of technology, right here today in 2019, the amount of communication you can choose to have on your phone is endless, and it's actually, it can be more valuable than the one-to-one conversation because it would allow you to take more people at once. So what I mean is, if you're doing live PT, you only have one Monday night 6 o'clock slot, whereas if you're doing online PT, they can all train at 6 p.m. on your program. Hope that makes sense. So what I've done is there's a whole lot of science goes into online PT and how to price it. If you want to find out more, please come to one of my business seminars. So I've just gone 10 clients, £100 per client. So that would be £1,000 per month. Let me go 1,000 divided by 4. Oh. So I'm trying to add it all up right now. So we're on £600 a week, £100 a week, £416 a week, and £250 a week for your online PT. And then the last one is affiliate links, ebooks. And this is where you can do a lot of the work up front and then kind of just earn revenue on the back end of it. So affiliate links. On the programs that I do with my clients, I will offer them links which will serve them. For example, if I offer them a My Protein link to go onto My Protein, which is a supplement company which I rate, I think My Protein are doing great things in the industry. If my clients use my link to buy their protein, not just protein by the way, any supplements from My Protein, I will get a 10% percentage of that sale. So if they spend £100, I get £10. Simple as that. So you can set up a series of affiliate links which serve your clients. Don't give them bullshit. It's got to be stuff that you believe in, and B, you know will serve them. And then you can earn a revenue stream off that. Now, like, you have to have, a couple of 100,000 followers on social media to actually make massive amounts of money from this. For me personally, it's just an added little extra. So you could do that. You could sell ebooks. So I've written 3 ebooks. I like to try and write 1 ebook per quarter. Sometimes it's a free ebook, sometimes it's pay for. So I've got 2 ebooks out right now which you can buy, and I would normally sell about 10 per quarter. So not even 1 a week at the moment. But like I said, that's a little bit of a flaw, especially now I say it out loud. That's a flaw in my business. So I've got my Train to Teach ebook, and I've got my online personal trainer ebook. So if you're interested in them, I'll put them in the show notes. Go and buy them. Let's get my KPIs up. And then that is another way to earn revenue. So everything I've just said, let me just recap it. You've got live PT, standard gym classes. You've got your boot camps. You've got your live PT, and you've got your affiliates and ebooks. Now, when I calculated this all up, it was 15 hours for PT sessions, 5 hours for group fitness classes, that's 20. Your boot camp, you're doing your boot camp live session and your online stuff, your Facebook session, so that's 22 hours, 2 hours per week. And your online clients, honestly, you'll get systems to develop that where you can do it really, really effectively and efficiently. So a generous half hour per week per client. Now, you'll probably spend an hour 1 week and 10 minutes every week after that throughout the month, just to give you context on that. So I've said 5 hours per week on average. So it's 27 hours per week for 1,000, 100, 200, 1,300 pounds per week for 27 hours on that business plan. So if you're failing as a PT, it's because you don't have your systems and your strategy and your lines of revenue set up in a way that serves you. If you're trying to earn, so a typical PT session in the UK, probably average around 40 quid. If you want to earn 40 grand a year, so I've got 40,000 pounds divided by 40 pounds per session. That's 1,000 PT sessions that you need to do in that year. Multiply that by divide that, 1,000 divided by 48 weeks in a year, because you want to take 4 weeks off. That is 21 sessions of live personal training you have to do every week to earn that 40,000 pounds. And the business model I've just given you, 13 for free, by the way, I've given you this, £1,300 per week times 48 equals £62,400, and that was for a 27-hour week. And if you recall, because you're doing some of that online, because you're doing some of that on Facebook, you actually don't have to spend those 27 hours in the gym face to face with people. Hopefully that's made a lot of sense. I'd love to know what you think of that. New question. Question number 8. How do you stay fresh for every class you teach? Haha. Shock horror. I don't. Nobody stays fresh for every class they teach. And everybody who says they do, everybody who posts it on Facebook, are lying. There are some classes where you feel significantly better, worser, that's right, I say worser, than others. And what you've got to do is you've got to address the reasons why. So I think it was question number 2, question number 3, when we were chatting, that you've got to reverse engineer. So back when I used to teach a lot of classes, I always used to be quite heavy in classes Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And Thursday I wanted to either only teach one or teach none at all, because I was really, really fatigued on a Thursday. And what I also noticed on that Thursday, you could not fill me, because I was just so hungry. My body just needed food, fuel, and sleep. So what you need to do is address the natural high energy points of your week and the low energy points of your week. And that's not something I can do for you. I can help you find it. So if you are struggling with the energy balances of your week, I will happily sit down and chat it with you. Just send us a message. And then there's other things you can look at, is what can you do in a way to pull back in some classes compared to others. So when I teach pump, when I used to teach a lot of pump, Friday morning's class, I lifted as heavy as I possibly could. So I'd have a range. So say in the squat track, I might go up to 20 kilograms each side. Monday morning's class, it was the day after the weekend, I did not go anywhere near that range. I would go 15 kilograms each side. So you have that range. Now you can do that really, really easy with weights-based classes, i.e. just put less or more on the barbell, how you finish. In body weight and more aerobic-based classes, like group cycle classes, spin classes, body attack, body combat, you just make your movements slightly smaller, exert less energies, floor coach a little bit more than you necessarily should, because you've got to look after yourself. And then the other ones are, just to go into it a bit more, I've spoken about diet earlier on in this podcast. Really, really look at your sleep, because you might find more nights you need more sleep than other nights. So the typical one is, we hear about people, oh, I only get 5-6 hours a night, but on a Saturday morning, I don't set my alarm and I lie in. Well, that's actually not a healthy way to do it. We should be getting even sleep throughout the week. So you might need to look at the blocks of sleep you're in. Nick Littlehale's Sleep, you've got to read it. I've said it enough times in the podcast. He speaks about sleeping in blocks of 90 minutes. Highly recommend it. I am trying to implement it into my life. When I get it right, I feel fantastic the next day. When I get it wrong, I don't. Last night, I got it right. I went to bed, had a heavy weekend in terms of I was really, really busy. Went to bed about 11, probably asleep by half 11. And when my alarm went off at 5:30, it went off. That was me. I was up, I was ready, I was alert, I was ready to go because it was in blocks of 90 minutes. 6 hours. I was in blocks of 90 minutes. As soon as that alarm went off, I was ready to get up. Had I slept for another 15 minutes, I would have been in a new block of 90 minutes. That's your sleep cycle, your circadian rhythm. I may not have felt that good. I don't get it right every night. Don't think I'm some sort of hero. But when I get it right, I know I feel better. Last 2 questions, not the last question. Thumb over the bar or under the bar for a chest press. Oh, you thought I was going to say the backtrack and the clean and press, didn't you? Didn't you? Your eyes were rolling back in your head. I saw you. I can actually see you right now. And now I feel smug. I'm inside your head. I can see you. Stop smiling. Thumb over or under the bar for the chest press. So this was specifically when it was asked, this was the body pump question. You can apply this to general gym floor training. Most strength and conditioning coaches will definitely tell you to grab the bar. So that's where your thumb goes under the bar all the way around and touches your fingernails on the other side. So we'll call that a closed grip, and we'll call it the open grip where it just sits in the heel of your hand. So the reason why you want to have your thumb round the bar is it will slightly change the alignment. Sorry, when I say thumb under the bar, I mean the closed grip. It will slightly change the alignment of the elbows and the shoulder position. The elbows are not meant to be at a 90-degree angle to the rest of the body. So if you were to take your arm out right now and put your elbow the same height as your shoulder, that is not a position to do the body pump chest track. That is not a good position to do a bench press in the gym. You want your elbow to be slightly down. So it's not a tricep push-up. It's not a tricep barbell press. You're somewhere in between 45 degrees and 70 degrees towards the top. So if elbow to shoulder height is 90 degrees, you're somewhere between 70 and 45. It'll be very, very different to absolutely everyone. And that allows your pec major, which is your big chest muscle, your pecs, to close at the top and open at the bottom. So if you were to put one hand on your pec major, so not your nipple, not your shoulder, just that little bit of space in between, and you have your elbow at, let's just call it 45 degrees, and if you push forward, you will feel your chest start to close and contract. You pull back, you feel it stretch open. Do that a couple times, be aware of how that feels. By the way, if you're driving right now, please do this safely. Now bring your elbow higher to 90 degrees and perform the same move. You will notice there is a lot less activity in your chest right now, whereas if you move your hand higher to your delt, you'll actually feel your delt closing and open. So when the elbow is up at 90 degrees, all the work is going through your deltoids. You want the work to be on your chest. And when you wrap your thumb under the bar, it will automatically give you a little bit of, as he works it out, I said, external rotation, which will drop the elbows in a more natural position for you. Everybody will be slightly different in that alignment. If you ever see me teaching body pump and a chest press or a push-up next to most of the other body pump UK presenters, you'll notice my elbows are a lot narrower than a lot of other. That's just the way I'm built. I've had shoulder injuries in the past, so I suspect the way I've kind of healed, I've maybe overcompensated. I'm probably more at the 45 degree angle. It's not a tricep push-up. I am flared out with the elbows, but not much. I'll use Lindsay as an example. I'm sure I can do that. Lindsay is very, very comfortable with her elbows a lot wider. Basic message is, should the thumbs be over or under? Should it be closed or open? I will always say it should be closed. For nothing else, like you might drop the bar on your neck. Like, if that's not motivation enough. And it is slightly more effective no matter what your training goal is. And the last one, love this question, and also hate this question at the same time, because the answer will depend what kind of mood I'm in or you're in listening to this. So the question is, Ricky, what is your biggest fitness industry hate? I did a podcast on this once because I felt particularly motivated. I'll put that in the show notes for this question. In fact, I think that'll be really, really useful for you. My biggest hate in the fitness industry, like I said, it would probably change depending on what mood I'm in, what I've read on social media. My biggest hate is fitness professionals with a closed mind and perhaps a one-size-fits-all mentality. So the ones I know a lot of listeners here will be able to relate to, it's the standard, the PT saying classes don't work, or it's the body pump instructor saying RPM doesn't work, or it's the yoga instructor saying weights are bad for you. It's the nutritious preaching their way of eating, you know, it's vegan or no way, or it's Atkins or no way. I think what we have to be very, very careful of as fitness professionals and, you know, fitness influencers is a lot of people look up to us as fitness professionals, and what we say they believe, whether it's actually factually correct or not. So we do have to be very, very careful of the information that we share, and if that sometimes means we are just holding our hands up and saying, I don't know, I think you get much more credibility, and ethically you're doing a better job in just being honest. So yeah, my biggest hate is the closed-mindedness that us as fitness professionals and influencers can get. I'll give you a really, really live example. Is I was traveling through the airport last week and I bumped into a fellow fitness professional, and we of a rival brand to Les Mills, and we went over and we had a chat. We had a beer. So Graham works for Blaze, which is a product of David Lloyd's. And we had a very, very good, intellectual, couple of beers were exchanged, conversation about the fitness industry in general. And it was really, really nice to share ideas without either one of us, you know, Graham didn't turn around and say, Blaze is the best, everything you're talking about, Ricky, is bullshit. And I wasn't saying, you know, my ideas are the best. My ideas are the best. Everything you're talking about is bullshit. So that was my phone going, by the way. So it was really, really nice to have that conversation. So if you're a fitness professional, listen to this. It's really, really beneficial for you to be open-minded. So for all the Les Mills instructors out there, don't get stuck in the Les Mills box. Go and experience the other group fitness classes. If you're a personal trainer out there and you think strength training is the best way, well, go and do a calisthenics workout with an open mind. If you're a yoga teacher and you preach vegan and the yoga lifestyle, it's really, really important you look at a high protein way of doing yoga based workouts. You get what I'm trying to say. Cardio isn't better than weights. Weights isn't better than cardio. Paleo isn't better than vegan. Vegan isn't better than high or low carbs. The best diet is the one that suits the individual person. The best training is the one that suits the individual person. And the best conversation is a conversation where everybody listens, everybody learns, everybody connects, and everybody creates an outcome that suits them. I think that's a nice way to finish. This is the Ricky Long Podcast, episode 59, I believe. 10 questions. Hope you enjoyed that. Quick shout out to the sponsors again, Podium for Sport, sponsoring the podcast, sponsoring the Ironman. If you want to hear more about the fitness business events that Lucy and I are planning. You've got to be on my daily emails. It's going to be the first note on the show notes. Make sure you're involved in that. Have a click on the show notes. Any feedback, give us a shout. Likes and shares on Instagram will be rewarded with kisses and hugs. Thank you. Love you. Goodbye.
You are listening to the Ricky Long Podcast, where international fitness entrepreneur Ricky Long answers your questions and interviews fitness leaders on training, nutrition, and mindset. Be sure to leave a review on iTunes.